All right. Hello. Welcome to another meeting. Hope your day is great. Today we've just got some stuff to go over, a couple of notes, and then I just want to have a discussion about something that I really want all of us to be focusing on and thinking about right now. So just a couple of reminders. Um, Please do not trim quartz or similar things without making sure that you are talking to your pod editor. We've had a couple of issues of things like college honors listings, some court listings, things like that, that are being trimmed that should never be trimmed. And the pod editor didn't know that they were trimmed. So it's like when we look at the paper the next day, it's like, oh, wait, that was a problem. So please make sure you're not doing that without talking to someone. Brightspot had an update yesterday that put timestamps on the files. So instead of the files overwriting themselves the way that they have been, right now, if somebody, or prior to yesterday, if someone updated a file, so they went in and they changed something for the web and then they updated, that could break the link that we have for the story. And what happens now is it outputs a new version that has a timestamp and the date. I've asked the pod members to make sure that they are linking for you all the actual document and not the folder, because all of the versions of the stories are output into the same folder for that slug with the timestamp on. So if you open a link and it's for the folder and there's more than one version in there, please make sure that you ask the pod editor which version you're supposed to be taking. And that will also help remind them that they were supposed to be linking the document instead of the reason for that is just, we don't want to take the most recent one because it's possible someone at the site just updated something and there were changes or adjustments that the pod person made to fix for changing things to print, taking out web embeds, fixing typos, rewriting the headlines for us, that kind of thing. So we want to make sure we took the version your pod editor prepared for you. So just make sure you're communicating with that. Wilmer's late sports stories. They may already have started doing this as I talked to Kelly yesterday. But there's going to be 2 links for them now. So they'll essentially have one link, which will be the Google document with the story in it. And that will have the agate set up correctly. But as you all know, I think the agate doesn't format correctly in Brightspot. So they're putting that document together in Google, and then they copy and paste it into Brightspot later. They are going to be putting their photos directly into Brightspot and then outputting that document. So there'll be one document, a Google document that comes from Brightspot that will have all your photo links and captions in there. And then the other one will have your text. So it's kind of wonky that then you're going to have to go to 2 different documents for that. But it's the easiest way we can get that set up to let them do things as quickly as possible and get it to us without introducing any errors or anything. So let me know how that's working out for you. If it's causing any issues, I do want to hear about that, but I think that's going to work okay. And then Michael, what was this one about? You're muted again, Michael.
Sorry, where are you on the doc?
That's this top thing. It says that you have that selected. I didn't write that there.
Oh, I didn't write that there either.
Oh,
Sorry,
that
I just
one-
happened to have my cursor there.
Oh,
That one was mine.
okay. Go, Emily, go.
If you have multiple pages in the same section and need to use plug ads, like try to use different ones because like there are a ton in those folders, and when you're reviewing the whole section, or I'm sure for the readers, like it gets noticeable if the same, especially if they're a little bit larger than itty bitty ones, like using the same one over and over again gets kind of noticeable. So try to mix that up between pages in the same section.
Thank you. And then what I wanted to talk about is our e-edition pages, and then kind of how we're prioritizing local content and local art when we're doing our regular sections. I have talked with several of our editors this week, working with pod members, and then I had an all pod meeting yesterday where we talked about this. And I really want us to be doing e-edition pages that can be more creative, out of the box, that allows you all a chance to really use your design chops. And I know that that has been difficult lately. We've had a number of stories in, especially on those the pages on the end that we get in advance, like for the weekends, the travel, the home, the books, what's next, all of those pages where we get stories with great photos, but the story is also, 2,000 words long. And so it's hard to really do much with design in that case. So I have discussed that with the pod and asked them to make sure that they are putting their focus more toward the art, um, picking stories that are either shorter or trimming the stories before they give them to you, and then making sure that you have great art options. So when you get those pages, I know that it's not always feasible to spend extra time on them, but if you have any kind of extra time, or in the time that you have, if there's something you can do that is more creative and more fun, please do that. We really want those pages to be something that our readers see as special and a value, extra value. I was going to say value added, which is the jargon for it. I apologize. I'm trying to jargon, but I know that you all are capable of doing really great design, and sometimes we don't have the time to do that, and sometimes what's on the page stacks up against that, in terms of, okay, well, I have to get this 2,000 word story in or whatever. And so with those pages, the pod is trying to be cognizant of making it easier on all of you to be able to exercise the creativity to do those things. So please take that opportunity as much as you can and do what you can on those pages. Remember, they are online only, so you can use more colors and stuff. They don't have the print things that you have to worry about with other things. But oh, okay, can you hear me now? Because my screen came up with a message that Aaron muted me. Thanks, Aaron. Okay. Uh, uh, so I should try to mute somebody else. But just some days we have the time. Sometimes there is the time, and let's really use that time and do that. I'm also working with the pod to get some of those pages in earlier, so that, for instance, on a Wednesday morning, when there may not be as much going on, that those can be done, to get some of the things in earlier. So maybe at the beginning of your shift or something where, a night shift where you're still kind of waiting for some of that content to come in and the budget to be put together, you can be working on those. So if you have any ideas on that front, things that would make that easier, please let me know. I am absolutely open to hearing that. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about is how we focus on local content and local art. I think sometimes with the pod members don't always have a great visual sense of how much is going to work on a page. And so they may put, multiple optional stories or wire stories on a page. Whereas when you're doing the page, you might be going through and then going, okay, well, this story actually has, multiple pieces of art that I'd like to use, and they're local. If the other stuff on that page is labeled optional, absolutely make sure that you're using that local art. If the other stuff on the page isn't labeled optional, then have a conversation with your pod editor, So it's, say, okay, so I jumped the sports story here, like you told me to. And you've also got the Wolves and the Gophers on this page. But if I put those on, then I can't fit any of the local art. So is one of those stories optional, or can it be moved someplace else? Because in a lot of cases, it is optional. It can be moved, or something else can be figured out, and the pod editor can help you decide how to prioritize that local content over wire things. That's something that we really want to do. Our sites are being preached, to do local, and they're telling their readers, hey, we're doing local, and then do not get in local art, or to have the local stories run really small so that wire stuff can run big. presents some issues for them, and it just doesn't make the paper as good as it could be. So please be keeping an eye out for that. So, any questions or anything on any of that? All right. Well, thank you all then. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and